Hi, this is Steph with Belladonna Dyes, and today's project is going to be a Sinew Scrunch snow dye. This shirt is turned inside out from the pre-wash. I don't think it matters if it's inside out, right side out, whatever. Then using a washable marker, I just draw on some really random, squiggly, wavy lines. And I'm going to pleat along those lines that I just drew, making that line kind of as straight as possible. I'm just using it as a guide, but this is the type of pattern where kind of like the more messy and random and sort of sloppy, the better. Now, when I'm pleating along that line, I'm not focusing on making my pleats all perfect. Again, the more random, the better. If you're new to tie-dyeing, let me explain what I'm using here. So I'm using artificial deer sinew. It's a wax-covered string, and its job is to resist the dye. So wherever you use sinew and you pull it really tight, it will create a white line in your project. And that's really cool because it can create some contrast. Now the tool that I'm using is called a sinew puller. And this sinew puller has a matching caddy set. And where you can find this tool is from www.boredomwithjen.com. She makes some wonderful tie-dye tools. You will find a link down below in the description box for this tool and everything that I use for tie-dye. So I recommend that you check that out. Now for the rest of the shirt, I'm just going to do a really tight scrunch. And when I'm doing the scrunch, I try to mix it up a little bit around the sinew lines. That way, it has a nice scrunch around those sinew lines. Just do the best you can to kind of mess it up a little bit. And also, I'm trying to keep the scrunch height all at about the same level and flat against the table. And all of this is because I'm trying to have good saturation when it comes to the dyeing portion of the project. When it comes to securing the scrunch, you could just continue on wrapping it with sinew if you want, but I don't want to run the risk of creating any white lines to take away from the white lines I'm already trying to create. So I'm using rubber bands for this project, and I have a dish of like hodgepodge size rubber bands, so I'm just using whatever works. Now, when working with the rubber bands or even with kite string, you do run the risk of the project wanting to taco up on you. So what I have found that works for me is if I sort of work back and forth along the project. I put a rubber band on and then I maybe go to the other end and put a rubber band on. Trying not to put too much pressure on just one side of the project at a time. I find that if I sort of balance it out, it slowly comes together, and I hope that makes sense. Like if you saw right there when I squished on it, it just wanted to taco right up. You got to find that happy balance, and it just takes practice. If it starts to taco up on you, take that rubber band off. It's too tight. This is where yesterday's project and today's project meet. So if you didn't watch yesterday's glitch video, after you watch this one, go check that one out. So what I did is I carefully removed the glitch from the gutter, and then look at all of that dye that for years I have just been wasting. So I just can't do this anymore. Now that I realize, look at all of that dye. So I'm just using a spoon and I'm scraping out the gutter, getting as much down below as I possibly can. Then I'm going to stir it all up. That way it's kind of all just one nice natural dark color instead of it just being like red over here and blue over there. Just mix it up the best that you can. And then I'm going to take the sinew scrunch that I just created and I'm going to just mash it into all of that dye. No more wasting dye, you guys. If you guys have not tried making one of these two-fers yet, I highly, highly recommend it. Next, using my silicone cake molds, I create an ice barrier, and this one's a little bit too big for the project, so I just take a paper clip that I got from the dollar store to hold it together. Now, you could just set this down there and let the muck do all of its work, but I like to add a little more dye to the project just to give it a little more character. So I'm adding chamois to the sinew lines, and I don't know if I've ever used chamois before. I know that I made a liquid swatch, but I can't recall ever adding it to a project. I mean, if I have, I do not remember, but it is a really pretty color. So I'm pulling colors from the glitch project, the project that's going to be up above. That way it has a cohesive look to it. I don't want to add like super duper random colors. Like I wouldn't want to necessarily go like green down below. So it's a good way to create two projects at the same time. It's a major space saver, and like I said, I'm not wasting all of that dye and the muck water. It's going to from now on, I'm no more waste. Now Wasabi I did not put up in the glitch. I wish I would have, just because it's such a pretty color. But Wasabi is a gorgeous color and I highly recommend it. It splits down into a beautiful turquoise. Now I give the project a quick little sprinkle of soda ash for good measure. And I'm using snow for this one because that's what I had. If you don't have the snow, you can use regular ice. Now I'm just adding this part back in. So this was yesterday's glitch tutorial. Like I mentioned, if you didn't see it after this, I'd recommend that you go check it out. But this is where the two projects collide. So now I'm going to place the main project up on top and I'm going to set these aside and I'm going to set it and forget it. I'm going to let that muck water do its job. So it's recommended that you let your projects batch at 70 degrees or higher for at least 24 hours. And this project batched for the full 48 hours. And just look at all that gorgeous muck water, and nothing went to waste. It's kind of hard to see, but the back side is darker than the top side. That had all that nice dark dye mashed onto it, and then it sat down in that muck water. All right, for the rinse out, I like to start by using cold water. That's going to rinse away any soda ash that might still be reacting within the fabric. And then I increase my water up to hot and I rinse until the water runs pretty much clear. From here, I take it to the washing machine and I like to do hot water cycles using Kirillon. Kirillon is a professional textile detergent. And then I like to do a final hot water cycle using Millsoft, and Millsoft is a professional fabric softener. Then I'll put the project in the dryer and we'll come back and we'll see the results. But already you can see that beautiful wasabi, that turquoise. Oh, I just love it. It's my new favorite color. Well, here it is, guys. Here's our Sinew wrap Muck IceDye. It's a two-fer made with snow after it's been washed and dried and ironed. And these pictures really are not doing it justice. This shirt is super beautiful. Again, you guys know I don't normally gravitate towards earth tones, but I'm in love with this shirt. The wasabi after washed and dried is not as prominent as I was hoping it would be, but there are just little tiny hints of that really pretty soft bluish green. Now the teal blue is gorgeous when used with these earth tones. I'm not a big fan of teal blue by itself, but combined with the earth tones, yeah, I'm digging it. Now you see all those really nice like dark little lines. Those are from sitting down in the muck. I just love muck dyeing. It's magic, you guys. But you see right there that little hint of just that soft little turquoise. That's coming from the wasabi. Overall, I love this color combination, which, like I just mentioned, I don't typically like this, but it's just something about it. It just works. Like this color combination really works together. And then having those hints of those bright white sinew lines just kind of crackling its way through it create a lot of interest. So yeah, I'm super pleased with the way this two-fer turned out. Like I said, you guys, if you have not started making these for yourself, I highly recommend it, because even though it's not a free shirt, I'm getting two projects done at the same time and I'm utilizing all of that dye instead of it going to waste. So what do you guys think of this shirt? Please leave me some comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, leave a thumbs up, and click the bell and set it to all. That way you get notified of future uploads. And remember, have fun tie-dyeing!